So, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Hyun Win,
And my name is Jamin Lee.
and we're part of Koi Energy. So, imagine yourself sitting in that 8 a.m. lecture. You're nodding off to sleep because you spent the night before studying for the exam you have at 10 a.m. You didn't have time that morning to take a trip to the convenience store for a caffeine source, nor did you have time to make it at home. It's a hassle, as you're bound to knock over and spill your cup or eventually get it confiscated at the library due to its no drink policy. You're on the go and you need every minute you can get. An average lecture lasts 50 minutes. Oral consumption of caffeine, like drinking or swallowing a pill, will take 30 to 45 minutes to kick in. You'll spend that lecture missing critical information. But what if I told you you could get that energy in 5 minutes and that you wouldn't have to worry about taking multiple trips to the store?
Caffeine is a huge staple for students, but we have discovered that 90% of students are experiencing negative side effects and dissatisfaction at their current caffeine source. These include, but aren't limited to, coffee and energy drink users experiencing jitteriness, crashes in energy, and frequent restroom trips. Most energy drinks are already associated with being too unhealthy and sugary, and caffeine pills being too unnatural and abnormal. Students are also finding that coffee and energy drinks to be too inconvenient. Now, we can see that being unnatural and inconvenient are the common trends here. The more work we put into our bodies now, and convenience is a huge factor. 88% of 30,000 people polled said that they would pay for more healthier and natural products. Now, one of the biggest lines that students say is, I wish I had more time to study. And as students, we value our time and we're going to value what gives us more time. We value convenience so much that a recent study also showed that 83% of us value convenience more than safety. Now, as you may have already guessed, we wanted to create a product to help students achieve more. So there are currently about 23 million undergrad and grad students here in the US. And we believe that there are also a lot of potential crossover into different markets such as athletes, long distance truck drivers, and anyone in a high pressure career. So our solution is to create a quality functional energy chewing gum, which is designed to provide convenient and fast acting energy to the consumer. The energy source will come from a natural source, which has been proven by scientific studies to be beneficial to health.
So, how did we get to this solution? It all started with our initial MVP, which was a packet of pills containing a vast amount of ingredients to help students energize and focus. Our initial assumption was that students didn't mind taking pills, and the more ingredients, the better. But when we presented this MVP to friends, mutual friends, and even random students, we encountered a lot of doubt and negative feedback. A lot of people asked, is this even safe or is this even okay? So we decided to pivot to an energy drink with the initial assumption that students enjoy drinking these kind of energy drinks. At the same time, we wanted to find out what energy forms students preferred the most. So we sent out a quadric survey to ask which study aid they preferred the most. To get more information, we also set up a tabling experiment with all the energy products laid out on a table, and we would observe what students picked and then interview them afterwards on why they chose that product. As you can see here, coffee was the most popular choice, followed by gum and tea. With the tabling experiment, coffee and gum were actually surprisingly tied. In their interviews, people enjoyed chewing gum with studying as it was associated with memory retention. It was convenient, most accessible, small, easy to carry, has an active chewing effect, quick, cheap, and tastes good. People who chose coffee only said it was because they were familiar with it. And as you can see here, energy drinks came dead last, and customers were actually unfamiliar with all the ingredients that I was adding into it. Upon further research, we actually discovered that the more ingredients was actually a bigger liability because as everyone's body chemistry is actually different. And by adding more ingredients, it actually increases the chances that someone could have an adverse reaction to it. In addition, we discovered that taste and natural ingredients is a huge factor in consumer purchase. Students said they wouldn't buy it if it didn't taste good, and that they didn't like the idea of consuming something unnatural, such as energy drinks and pills. So we decided to pivot to an energy gum, which met the demands of our customers. It's convenient, it's fast acting, and ultimately saves time. We decided to remove all the unnecessary ingredients and really buckle down on the ingredients that provided the most value, which was a caffeinated herb called the guayusa leaf. Caffeine is bitter by nature, and the bad taste was a downfall to many products. So to fix that problem, we incorporated something called the microencapsulation technology. This surrounds the caffeine with a food-grade shell to mask the bitter taste that customers often complain about. So we failed at creating this kind of gum at home because we didn't have the technological capabilities of a manufacturer. This really led to texture and taste problems. It was also a really large liability problem as well because we weren't producing this in a controlled facility. So we created a brochure as well as our MVP, and interviewed students to test if this was the final product to move forward with. So this time we were actually met with a lot of positive feedback as our product aligned exactly with what they valued. It was a product that resonated with students in that it was convenient, natural, and fast acting. Students were actually relieved that they didn't have to carry an open cup of coffee or an open can everywhere they went. They were relieved that they had a natural energy option that was on the go, so they wouldn't have to leave class or their favorite study spot in the library to go to the store, and that they wouldn't have to spend extra time in the morning to brew their drinks. Every student we interviewed believed that all the features belonged there and that they wouldn't remove anything. We also asked them if this was a product that they would buy on the spot, and 92% said yes. So we decided to take this one step further. We created a physical MVP by creating and printing out the packaging and then running a second set of interviews. This time we asked if they wanted to buy it and to see if they would pull out their wallet for it. And 9 out of 10 students wanted to buy it when we had the product in hand. And so far, we have accumulated 55 students who are interested in testing the product. That's how we decided to move forward with this product.
So we're going to begin selling our product online, but our goal is to eventually get the product into retail stores, such as CVS and other student campus stores. We've already communicated with the manufacturer, so in our production run, each pack of gum was about $1.25, and we've already validated that students are willing to pay $4.50 a pack, which will give us a gross margin of about 72%.
So Koi Energy Gum is a convenient and fast-acting energy option compared to mainstream indirect competitor energy products such as coffee and energy drinks. In comparison to energy shots and caffeine pills, Koi Energy Gum is unique in that it is natural and a fast-acting option, which is what consumers want. In comparison to our direct competitors, we're the only startup that utilizes a caffeinated leaf herb and microencapsulation technology for taste control, and we're looking to patenting the concept.
Now, in terms of marketing, we want to connect with our customers on a more emotional level and focus a lot more on our branding. We stand by helping our customers persevere, overcome, and achieve. We plan on being active on social media by providing motivational, empowering, and valuable content for our customers. This includes posts of our product benefits and interviews, and even advice from experts on how they became successful. We're also going to host philanthropy events or have events where we can contribute to a cause that reflects our brand values. It's our priority right now to help others achieve their goals in any way we can. Other strategies can include micro-influencer marketing, campus events, and email marketing to increase our presence.
So if you were to be awarded $5,000, that would put us closer to our production run. We are currently in the process of starting our social media presence and building our customer base. The $5,000 would go directly into manufacturing research and development costs, and we would receive 30 kilograms of gum as our total as our sample batch. After this process, we can move into crowdfunding to fund for our first production run. So we hope that you all join us in our journey to help provide others with a convenient, natural, and fast-acting way to energize. Thank you.
Okay, we have 5 minutes, judges, for Q&A.
I have a quick question on the, when we go to get coffee or caffeine, you can choose, a light roast, you can have an espresso, you can have an extra espresso. And so is there any variety in the gum? If I have just one, is that going to be enough caffeine? Maybe I need 4, or is there different strengths of the?
Yeah, we can definitely have different strengths. Well, we want to start out with a 50 milligram strength. That way people can really titrate how much caffeine they can get. With coffee, most people don't. We did interviews and most people don't know how much caffeine is in that coffee. So we can have a 50 milligram and then later down the road, we can have a 100 milligram caffeine source or caffeine gum. So we can really play around with the strengths as well.
How do you educate people as to what 50 milligrams, I don't even know what 50 milligrams of coffee means. How would you compare those?
Yeah, so we can definitely do this kind of infographic on our website or even on our social media page. For example, like one piece of 50 milligrams could equal like half, like an 8 ounce coffee, or close to an 8 ounce coffee, or like an 8 ounce energy drink.
Okay, cool. And last question for me is, where do you plan to sell it? Are you planning on, like the Food for Less or Whole Foods, or is it, something that's at a kiosk at the mall? Or are you selling on campus or online? Where are you, ideally, where would be your top retailers be?
Ideally, we would like to get into campus stores, that because our target demographic is students, and we did most of our validation through students. So we would really like to get into these campus stores. That way it's like widely available to students. It's a convenient option too. But we also want to get into like large retailers such as CVS.
I got a couple quick questions, if you don't mind. You made a pretty bold statement about it being ingested in your system in 5 minutes. Do you have any studies that prove the efficacy of this? Because you actually,
yeah, there are a lot of there are studies, for example, especially with the applications, for example, like nicotine gum. There are also other caffeine gums, and they have studied the bioavailability as well as the speed at which caffeine gum enters your blood compared to swallowing a pill or ingesting it.
do you have any quality control issues in your mind on somebody putting something in their body when you have got a third-party manufacturer and you're using consumer food product?
Yeah, we actually do. Our manufacturer is basically like, it follows everything in terms of like FDA regulations. It's a basic controlled facility. We do want to make sure like we have that in mind as well.
And is there any regulatory environment in here that you didn't discuss that you guys are aware of, legal or regulatory environment?
I think it's, as long as it's like in a clean, controlled facility, basically like as long as there's no outside contamination, and there's also other regulatory like effects as well, as like the caffeine source can't be over 400 milligrams. And basically like we talk to our manufacturer and they do follow all those guidelines in terms of like FDA regulations as well.
Quick question from me. You mentioned that there are other caffeine gums. I remember a long time ago, I think there was a Tech Coast deal a long time ago about other gums. Somehow they didn't succeed. So I'm curious to know what makes you different. And you mentioned this microencapsulation, and why isn't anybody else doing it, and what's unique about it?
Yeah, so microencapsulation, that actually began as really like to preserve a lot of foods, basically like increase the shelf life, but now there are like applications to it in terms of taste. So one of the two big dividers or the unique separators is basically our ingredient as well as our microencapsulation. So a lot of other caffeine gums, they only use a synthetic lab produced caffeine. So that's something that students, or basically what our target demographic doesn't want to put in their bodies. So a lot of our target demographic, they want to lean towards more natural ingredients. So that's how we incorporated a ingredient called the guayusa leaf, as you can see here, which does have a lot of, it is a natural ingredient, it's a natural tea leaf, and it's really beneficial to health as well. So that's and we're the only gum company that will have this kind of ingredient, because like I said, other companies only have like lab produced synthetic caffeine.
And what prevents others not using this?
I'm sorry?
What prevents other companies not using the same ingredients that you have?
I think it's basically awareness as well as the taste and texture, because they're not aware of using that kind of microencapsulation technology to mask that bitter taste, because a lot of gum companies already have a problem with masking that bitter taste of caffeine. So they don't want to really lean towards another like additional ingredients as well.
And you've tested that it works?
We haven't tested the microencapsulation.
Yes. Have you tested the gum that it works, that it's not bitter tasting?
We since we don't have like a manufacturer yet, we don't have samples of it, but like as in like efficacy of the ingredients of the gum, or as in like the microencapsulation?
No, the microencapsulation. I was curious if you've proven that it actually hides the bitter taste, that it seems like your big sort of selling point here.
Selling point.
Yeah, we actually, there was basically another microencapsulation company that specializes in this, and they did a case study where they did it to green tea, and they were able to successfully tested on green tea, and then it basically hit the taste of the bitterness.
The last question I had, what is your cost of goods? You said you're selling it at 50 cents. What's your cost on producing this per piece?
Yes. So basically, we've already confirmed it through the manufacturer that the price to produce one piece of gum is going to be, or one packet of gum is going to be $1.25. And as I said, we already validated that the students are willing to pay 50 cents per piece, which equates to $4.50.